Welcome to Planet Marzipan Podcast,
your fish and Marillion podcast,
where we talk about all things in the planet of Marillion and fish. I'm Mezza, and here's my mate,
Craig Houston.
Hello, and welcome to Planet Marzipan. I'm your host, Mezza.
and I'm Craig.
You
You have to shout, what's that about? That's why we never get you to do the intro.
Anyway, hello, welcome to Planet Marzipan. Today, we're taking a little bit of a left turn, and we are covering Pete's splinter band, Transatlantic. For all you non-fog heads, I would run for the hills. Because if I wasn't strapped to the chariot, that's where I'd be going there was any case.
I said this was an affectionate look at Transatlantic, so be careful what you're doing.
Oh, I'm going to be nice.
Anyway, we've got some guests. We've got some prog-loving guests with us. We're welcoming back Nathan Page.
Hello.
And James Levey.
Good evening.
Welcome, guys.
Are you all strapped in, ready, ladies?
Yep.
Yes.
I'm going to read the Wikipedia entry for Transatlantic then. Transatlantic is a multinational progressive rock supergroup consisting of Neil Morse, ex-Spock's Beard, Roy Nastolt, the Flower Kings, Pete Trewavas, Marillion and Edison's Children, and Mike Portnoy, Dream Theater. They formed in 1999 as a side project to their full-time bands, but disbanded in 2002 and then reunited in 2009. Despite not being an official member and only appearing on one studio album, Daniel Gildenlow of Pain of Salvation has often joined the band for live shows. However, due to illness, Ted Leonard from Enchant stood in for him on the 2014 tour, and he also joined the band during the 2022 tour. It does actually go on to say that these four weren't the original planned members of the band, actually. So originally, Fate's Warning guitarist Jim Matheos was going to be the guitarist with Morse and Portnoy, and when he said no, they approached Roy Nastolt, and then Pete completed the lineup. Before they were called Transatlantic, the first moniker the band came up with was Second Nature.
Was this the time just after Peter had his accident?
It was. For the Web magazine, I interviewed Pete a year ago, I think, for a live album where he talks about when he joined the band. So I think that Pete and Rothers did a show with Dream Theater in London where they played some covers.
It was Rothers and H.
Was Pete not part of it?
No.
That thing was on this nature.
Yeah, this was 95.
Yeah,
it was 95.
That was Ronnie Scott, and they played Easter and Happiness is a Warm Gun, if I remember correctly.
And I think that there was some communication via email after that, and that's when they first approached Pete about being in the band. So fast forward to 1999, and they got together to record their first album, which is called Craig.
That's MPTE.
It is.
Have I got my letters around you out?
Wow, you have.
It was recorded, wasn't it, between Marillion.com and Before Night Before It?
It was originally meant to be, I think, late 98, or no, beginning of 99, but obviously due to Pete's accident, they pushed it back to the summer. So it was the summer of 99 they got together.
Why is it called SMPTE?
The initials of the band members.
And also, what does SMPTE stand for?
Oh, it's all computer talk, isn't it?
It's time code. It's a time code. for video or film. That's why they did it.
Oh, that's proper nerdy.
It's very nerdy. Wikipedia is your friend.
Yeah, I remember when the first album came out. I did give it a try, but it's the old too orangey for pros.
Yeah, too proggy for Craig. Absolutely, that's going to be a theme throughout this episode. So, guys, were you into the band at that point? Had you heard Transatlantic in 2000?
Yeah. Funnily enough, it's sort of, I got into or been introduced to Spock's Beard in '99, I think, from the Kindness of Strangers album.
Oh, right, okay.
And so I was aware of Neil Morse.
Yeah.
And then I think was it the news broke late 99, 2000 that Pete was in the band with this Transatlantic. And so I got back into Marillion at that point, was look at the website and ordered the album.
Right.
And so I got it when it came out. I've got the version you have.
Yeah, this is the deluxe version, 2 CD thing. What about you, Nath? Was this was too early for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I came in probably about 2008.
Right.
Because I'd have been 7 when the album came out.
Well, that's no excuse. You should have been listening to it, really, shouldn't you? I'd like you, James. I still am a big Spock's fan. I'd seen them in Rotherham on the Day for Night tour. And anything I'd massively got into Morse, anything he did his solo albums, I was buying them. So this was a really exciting prospect. Like the Flower Kings, love early Dream Theater with Portnoy, so it ticked all the boxes for me. In true progressive style, it starts with a 31-minute track, All of the Above, which
I did buy the album when it came out.
Right.
I think I played it once or twice.
Currently used as a coaster, isn't it, in your house?
I think that's slung at somebody at some point, I think.
So it's also got the Transatlantic classic, We All Need Some Light, which they're still playing a lot of this.
One of my favourite Transatlantic songs.
Yeah. And probably something that a newbie could listen to without being pummeled to death by the prod, couldn't they?
Yes.
Track 3 is Mystery Train. Stop being guys if you've got any favourites in these. Track 4, My New World. And track 5 is a cover of Procol Harum's In Held 'Twas in I. Yeah, that's right, yeah. Take some saying. But on the deluxe version, it has a bonus disc with some alternative takes, alternative version of My New World, alternative We All Need Some Light, cover of Honky Tonk Woman, a studio jam called Oh Darling, My Cruel World. So it was a start of a sort of a format that they did for the next 2 or 3 albums, I think.
Yeah. I think it's the most proggy out of the lot.
Do you? I think all of the above, they really set their stall out from the first track that they put out, really. For those of you that haven't heard Transatlantic, they're very much, the longer songs tend to have recurring musical themes in them that sort of come, weave in and out of the main structure. It's very muso, would you say?
Very
Yeah.
muso. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're familiar with Spock's Beard and Neil Morse's solo stuff, Transatlantic has a lot of that thrown in, because I think at the beginning he was one of the main songwriters.
Yeah.
So it's quite a lot.
Roiner brings a lot to it, though. He brings a different musical touch to it that you don't get with Spock.
I think for me, SMPTE it does wear its prog heart on its sleeve very much, and I think you may or may not agree, I think it does hark a lot back to the sort of 70s prog groups more than maybe some of the later albums do.
Maybe. I can see where you're coming from with that. There are a lot of live albums, so rather do lots of them at the end, I thought we'd kind of drop them in
No.
between the albums.
Oh, you're going chronologically, are you?
I am. I'm trying to. So they toured. They did a live in America album and a VHS at that point. And I said I was sat in the dark. Can't read the bloody track list now. It's got a really nice medley at the end of it with one of each of the main band's songs on, and Pete does a version of
Great Escape.
The Great Escape.
I don't remember the words.
Sorry?
It's when he can't remember the words.
Weirdly, on the CD, he gets the words right, but on the video, he forgets the words.
Funny that.
What are the chances? I don't know how that happened.
Did we Craigopedia 2 days?
Well, but yeah, I don't think that's available anymore live in America. I think it's available to stream, but you can't buy that anymore.
It wasn't on a double DVD with Building the Bridge for a while.
Yes, that was available from Morse, wasn't it?
Yeah,
the
Radiant. Yeah.
But yeah, if you can get hold of a copy, I was looking on a well-known website, Amazon website today, and you can get used copies of Live in America for about 14 quid at the minute. So worth picking up. On to the second album. Any comments on SMPTE, Craig, other than what you've said?
What I find is, I'm not a great folk fan in the grand scheme of things. But we had a bit of a conversation before. I was saying that even though I don't like the music, I can appreciate the musicianship, because you can see that they're all fantastic musicians. It's not my bag.
Okay.
Apart from when it's totally on, there's some of the cover versions that they've done in the live album, which are absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that stands out later on.
Yeah. So the second album is Bridge Across Forever. What year was this, guys?
2001.
Something, was it? 2001.
2001.
So the first two albums are quite close together, weren't they?
And again, it's another sort of double disc set. 4 tracks on the main album: Duel with the Devil at 26 minutes, Sweet Charlotte Pike at 14 minutes, Bridge Across Forever, which is another shorter, sort of more mainstream song, and then Stranger in Your Soul at 26 minutes. I'm laughing because they're all brilliant on this album. It's a real high point for me.
Yeah, and me. I think it's equally up there with one of the next album you mentioned. But yeah, I really like this. I think when I mentioned about SMPT is more 70s rock, this one sort of brings more of the Beatles feel, because Morse and Portnoy and Pete are massive Beatles fans, and Reiner, I think, as well, actually.
Yeah,
and it really shows. Like Sweet Charlotte Pike is sort of Abbey Road-esque.
When they did it live, they did that, didn't they? They mixed it in.
Yeah.
This feels more like all 4 are contributing equally to me than the first album, maybe.
I had to agree with John there. I think this is all 4 contributing equally. And just to kind of pick up on the Beatles piece, I think there's also a little bit of Gentle Giant in there with some of the vocal harmonies.
Yeah.
And it's very much for me an album where they're wearing their influences on their sleeve. There's Genesis. There's, basically you name a 70s prog band, there's probably a bit of it in there.
Yeah. Well, the bonus disc has got a version of Shine On You Crazy Diamond on it. It's got And I Love Her, Smoke on the Water, Dance with the Devil, and some Royner's MO bits. Again, they don't make no bones about where they're coming from, I don't think. And the imagery is the spaceship again on some sort of I don't know, desert land, really. So the spaceship is their sort of logo, isn't it? And
yeah,
it's maintained throughout the albums.
There are other bits of.
Does they did the 2 episode album or not? So
yeah, they did. I saw them at the Zodiac in Oxford on the first. They did Europe this time.
Yeah.
On Bridge Cross. It was Bridge Cross Europe tour, I think it was.
Yeah.
I thought it was a great gig.
You just want to say about some artwork thing there, James, before I dived in.
I was just gonna no, I was gonna say there's other bits. If you are a fan of Neil Morse and his, he does tend to throw lots of stuff out, a bit like sort of various, almost like Patreon is now, but he did his Inner Circle, and
He
there
still
was,
does. The Inner
and he
Circle
still
is
does.
still
Yeah,
there, yeah.
sorry, it is. I've stopped subscribing to it for a while, but and there's other bits and pieces around these albums as well, and they did the making of, didn't they? Building the Bridge, which was originally a VHS and onto a DVD.
Well, there's actually a Roy Stolt mix of SMP which came out on a physical CD from Inner Circle as well. But
was there a different mix of it?
Yeah, Royner's version of it. Yeah.
So was it much different? Was it?
It's still not good for you, mate. Not chopped it into. He's not chopped it into 3-minute songs. No.
I think it's different. No, there's different sort of things in the mix and different vocals. I think
he's basically turned all the guitars up as you'd expect from a guitar.
Yeah,
turn the guitars up, turn everything. No, he has no. But yeah, and then that Daniel Gildenlow was on that tour, and Daniel just used to jump around the stage like an absolute man possessed. You know,
he was out bounce Pete.
Yeah, he did, because he was based at the back of the stage. So he had all his stuff set up at the back of the stage, but he spent more time at the front than the other guys.
So did you see this tour than John or not?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
There's a live Bridge Across Europe or something, isn't there? They released that one?
I'm just having a look now. I'll find it.
Or was it a DVD?
There is
DVD.
As this, which is official bootleg DVD, which is from the Bridge Across Forever tour, which was from Radiant. There must be a live album, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that was a live album.
Yeah, of course it's live in Europe. It's the one in the green box, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's this one, yeah. Sorry. I am sat in the dark, listeners, so apologies for this. It's that one.
That's the one.
Yeah. This is a great set.
It is also available on Bandcamp for sort of $9.99.
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah. The full set list of this is Duel with the Devil, Mind Your World, We All Need Some Light, Sweet Charlotte Pike Medley, which is where they mix it with Abbey Road, Stranger in Your Soul, all of the above. And then disc 2 has got tour documentary, Shine On You Crazy Diamond on it. Great set that. Really, really advise getting hold of that if you can. That's live in Europe. You can borrow it later, Craig, if you want to.
Actually, I think the tables are ready today.
Anything else to say on Bridge Across Forever?
I really like, as I said, it's one of my favourites. I think the beginning of Stranger in Your Soul, that whole orchestral bit, and then the drums come in with the bass.
That's right, isn't it?
That's great. And it was fantastic live.
Yeah.
And Bridge Across Forever is more of a Neil solo track because it was recorded in 92, I think. He was trying to do a singer-songwriter sort of thing, even before Spock's Beard, and that's just sat on the shelf, and he resurrected it for this album.
The other thing is that I think this introduces some of the things we definitely see in the Whirlwind, where you've got the recurring themes throughout the whole album, really.
Yeah.
And they kind of visit that again on the next album.
Yeah.
As you said, it's more of a cohesive piece of the four of them.
I think it was leading up to what we're going to get with the Whirlwind, wasn't it? But I like the fact that I like the work. We'll talk about the Whirlwind in a minute, but I like the fact the Whirlwind is just one huge slab of music. But Bridge Across Forever, with it being divided up into 4 tracks, I think is better for it. Anyhow, Craig had some homework for this episode, and his homework was to listen to the Whirlwind.
Listen to the live version of it.
Well, right, whatever.
Yeah.
You want to give us your review?
There's a couple of songs on there. The first track is just very, very heavy, or almost just very, very drum heavy. It's just not my cup of tea. But I'm trying to get the names of the
another overture. I mean, Morse has how many overtures now?
Isn't there an overture at the start and an overture at the end of this album?
There's a
There's a
reprise.
reprise.
It's a bit of a Sergeant Pepper-esque sort of thing.
Yeah. The reprise. Dancing with Eternal Glory leads into Whirlwind reprise.
It's just I'm just pulling up the track listings from last night. Just when everything decides to go really slow.
What Craig's doing there. What did you think, John, when they announced Neil Morse wasn't going to do at the time any more Transatlantic in 2002? I was quite sad. I was quite sad about that.
I was worried, but that was the same time when he left Spock's, wasn't it? I remember being at an IQ gig at Bury, and it had just come out that Morse had left Spock's, because I love Snow. I think Snow is a wonderful record, and if they'd have toured that the first time, that would have been amazing. I was pretty gutted, to be honest with you, because Transatlantic were just building, and then he left Spock's as well. I mean, I've followed Morse ever since. I saw Testimony. I saw the Testimony at, where was he in London? Downstairs at the
Was that the Old Town and Country Club? Was it where you saw them? Or was it the Astoria?
It was downstairs at the Astoria, I think. What was that called?
No, the Astoria.
But the Mean Fiddler?
The mean Fiddler.
Yeah.
Or the LA2? Was it might be
LA2?
the
LA2, yeah. I saw that there. So, it was a shame. But, I mean, to be fair, they kept it going for 23 years. And it's only a side hustle, really, this, isn't it?
Yes.
I think the fact that Portnoy left Dream Theatre helped prolong it a little bit. But anyway, Craig,
so the songs,
this is building up to Craig's definitive review of the Whirlwind.
Yeah, the songs that I liked on the album, was Shine. Not was Shine. I thought that was a really nice song.
Sorry, Shine isn't on the Whirlwind.
It's not. That's
a follow it up.
Yes, I don't. See, I just went through the most best.
Shine is about 6 minutes long.
Yeah, so we're going to surprise. I mean, that was.
Oh dear.
Yeah. So which is from which album? I'll tell you what.
Sorry? Whirlwind is night one on Morsefest 22. So I don't know if you've got the tracks there. There's Overture Whirlwind, The Wind Blew Them All Away, On the Prowl, A Man Can Feel, Out of the Night,
Yeah.
Rose-Coloured Glasses. That's quite up your street, isn't it? Rose-Coloured Glasses.
I thought Rose-Coloured Glasses was quite canny. Yes, and I don't know.
Yeah. Set Us Free, Lay Down Your Life, Pieces of Heaven, Is It Really Happening? And Dancing with Eternal Glory. That's a Moss lyric, isn't it? You know.
Yes.
Praise be.
Yeah.
Well, wasn't the background to this that he wrote most of this album?
Lyrics, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I think he wrote quite a bit.
Oh, actually, yes.
As well, because there's a demo.
Yeah. There's a 40-minute demo, isn't there?
Yeah.
Which they expanded. That's right. Yeah.
Behind me somewhere. And that's how he solely thought about it and thought he was going to do another sort of one of his concept albums, because I can't remember where it sits within his catalogue, but then thought actually this would be a good Transatlantic album and brought it all back in.
Yeah. Nath, this is your favourite, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. So Is It Really Happening is just pure Chris Squire. The last 4 minutes is just Pete playing out of his skin. There isn't a bad moment in it for me. It's 70 minutes of prog nonsense, for want of a better word. It is just them having a good time, wearing their influences on their sleeve. And what I like about it is it's quite clearly influenced by Neil finding God, and it's very religious, but it's not overt. It's very, the lyrics are open to some interpretation.
Yeah,
if you know a little bit about Neil, okay, it's a giant allegory for God.
Yeah,
I think this was actually really going to be partially destined for Spock's beard before he decided to leave them?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think it was.
He had the calling while they were recording Snow.
Because Snow's, if you listen to Snow's a very much an allegory again of the religious sort of battle in himself. Yeah, it's not overtly. This is again like Nathan, up there with Bridge Across Forever as my favourite. This and the Whirlwind. Sorry,
as I said, I think there's something to like on all of them. The next one, which gets a bit of stick, there's tracks I love on there, but the Whirlwind is great. It's consistently good. The bonus disc has got some more covers on, so it's got a version of the Return of the Giant Hogweed, which they played with Hackett at High Voltage, which is a bonus track on the World Tour, I think. Yeah, it's a bonus track on the World as in WHIRLD World Tour DVD box. But yeah, that was a great gig seeing him at High Voltage. It was a brilliantly warm day, and we just kind of camped out at the front. And Mike Barton had been there early. Long story. He'd forgotten his ticket and had to go home to Liverpool. Came back early morning, went straight to the site, got in, and saw him sound check with Hackett at about 10 o'clock in the morning. But yeah, and I'm afraid that My Ugly Mug is on this DVD as well, because I was on the front row at Shepherd's Bush.
John, you shock me.
Yeah, I know.
And are you do you not appear in the More Is Never Enough DVD at a point as well?
No, because the DVD isn't the audio from Manchester.
Yes.
Yeah, no, the DVD's at Tilburg. I'm at the Manchester gig the night after.
Yes.
You can hear me, but you can't see me because I
was there. It was a week after I first met you, John. So yeah,
I have to say, Transatlantic gigs give Bruce Springsteen a run for his money, and Taylor Swift for one. To make a current reference.
I was there too.
2 nights on the bounce. I did the Shepherd's Bush and the Manchester gig, and I was flagging midway through the Manchester gig. So I don't know how they did it. The Manchester gig is the last night of the tour, so they kind of swap instruments towards the end. You've got Portnoy on bass and I think Morse on drums. I think Pete's playing some keys. I can't remember.
Yeah, Ronnie's the only one that doesn't swap anything.
Yeah.
Was it the Academy it was at?
It was.
Manchester.
It was a fantastic gig. Really, really gigs up. It's probably one of my top 10 gigs. It was just absolute storming night, and I'm glad they released it.
Yeah. Well, you can never have too many Transatlantic live albums, it appears, but yeah, it is called, as Nathan said, More Is Never Enough.
Because you say the Tilburg show's on there as well?
Yeah, there's a
video of it.
3 CDs of the Manchester show, and then the 2 DVDs of Tilburg. So yeah, I don't know if that's available anymore. If anybody's shopping while we're on, Nate's having a look.
Yeah, because there's also, isn't it on the special edition with there's a making of. They always do a making of DVD as well.
They do.
There's
well, yeah.
4 additional tracks which they did themselves. Even a Pete solo. Well, Pete wrote a track called, was it Lending a Hand or something?
Yeah. So there's Spinning, Lenny Johnson, For Such a Time, and Lending a Hand, yeah. And some more covers, as I say, Return of Giant Hogweed, A Salty Dog, they really like the Procol Harum, don't they? I Need You, and Soul Sacrifice, which I think is Santana, isn't it?
Yeah.
More Is Never Enough is not currently available easily.
Oh dear. It is here, because you reach down and pick it up.
And there's also, if you even want even more, there is the Whirlwind demo on, I think it's on, if you go to Neil Morse's site, you can get it a download. And there's for the, I think, Bridge Across Forever and Whirlwind, and maybe the last 2, there is a Mike Portnoy drum DVD as well.
Well, there you go.
That's
That's your Christmas list, Craig.
Well,
So, third album, The Whirlwind, fantastically successful tour. And then they didn't do anything for 3 years.
why did they have such a big break between the second and third albums?
Because they all went back to their own stuff.
I think because Neil Morse didn't want to, because he sort of came out as a Christian and sort of left Spock's and wasn't going to do anything. If I'm John, you might be able to tell me if I'm misaligned on this, but I think originally he wasn't going to do any music. He was just going to devote himself as a Christian, and then had a calling that said, "Oh no, I want to write something," and that's where Testimony came from.
I don't remember reading that. I mean, I've read his book as well, and he's done Testimony 1 and 2. So, Testimony 2 specifically talks about him being on tour with Eric Burdon and getting the call, and it's got the bits about his daughter Jada with a hole in her heart and that healing, and it's a whole other subject, isn't it? Yeah.
So effectively,
they got back together in 2013. Pete was spotted leaving on his way from Holland to go to America to record Kaleidoscope, the much maligned fourth album.
Yeah, I agree with much maligning. It's not one of my favourites.
No, but can I say I like the bonus disc on it?
You can. Well, let's talk about what's on it first, then we'll do the bonus disc if that's all right. So you've got Into the Blue, Craig's favourite, Shine is on here.
Yeah, I like that song.
Black as the Sky, Beyond the Sun, and then the title track Kaleidoscope, 32 minutes of, which I think Kaleidoscope is cracking. The track itself.
I think
Someone else agreeing with me there?
I think the longer pieces suffer from not. I think there's too much of a callback to the Whirlwind in parts. Musically, some of it's very reminiscent, and I think that's what puts me off a little bit. The shorter tracks are great. The longer tracks, I'm a little bit less enamoured with.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd echo that. There's a bit too much of sort of repeating themselves, going back to things that you listen to and you think, well, they've done that before and they've done that before. But I'm with Nathan. I like the short songs.
Okay. And I think you're both wrong, but that's okay. And then Craig, the bonus disc has got And You and I. Can't get it out of my head. Conquistador. Procol Harum again.
Yeah.
Someone's a big Procol.
Goodbye Yellow Brick Road.
It's a fucking version of Goodbye.
It is. It is, yeah.
Really good. So
Tin Soldier, Sylvia, Focus, Indiscipline, and Nights in White Satin.
One of my favourite all-time songs, that Nights in White Satin. One of the songs I first got me into the very edges of prog.
Yeah, he's drawing you in, mate. Get you in slowly. Come on.
But Nights in White Satin is absolutely epic. I really like it. It's really good.
Strangely, it's probably the best bonus disc of them all so far, isn't it?
Absolutely. And what I find really odd about it is that everything bar the King Crimson is probably kind of 70s, and then you've got this really 80s King Crimson track in there, and it completely kind of throws their influences in another kind of direction.
It's in line with some of the Dream Theater covers on their albums, isn't it? Really, the 70s theme.
Yes.
But yes, I like Kaleidoscope, and I love the tour, to be honest with you, again. But this time we had Ted Leonard, I believe. I do have this twice, so this is why this one is sealed.
Oh, that's a big box.
It's a big box. Look at that. All that prog, Craig.
That looks like a TV series, like box set.
Feel the time signatures.
So it looks like a Babylon 5 DVD box set from the.
Well, it's a 2 DVD, 3 CD, and 1 Blu-ray box.
Oh my gosh.
That's a box set. That's how you do it, brilliant. That's what you need to do. But yeah, it's got Live in Cologne on the DVD, and then the CD. Three CDs are from Tilburg, and then Live in Cologne on the Blu-ray as well.
Yeah, I think, as you said, it's a band that gives you everything you want and more when it comes to product.
Yeah, I mean the live discs have got some of the covers live. So Nights in White Satin is on there, Sylvia, and Hocus Pocus as well. So it must be where Pete learned to play Hocus Pocus.
Craig led the Euro.
Yeah,
and Thijs van Leer's on it as well from Focus.
and what?
Thijs van Leer from Focus comes on and does the Focus tracks with them.
Okay, cool. And it's called Kaleidoscope. Kaleidoscope.
Very clever.
Very clever. Which brings us up to the last studio album so far. Who knows? And they couldn't make their minds up, really, could they?
No.
Well, the last studio album technically is called The Absolute Universe, and it was released on the 5th of February 2021, but it was released in 3 versions. There is a abridged version called The Breath of Life. There is a extended version called Forevermore with different songs. And then there is a Blu-ray which mixes the two together. And there's a big box that Nathan's got there, which has got vinyl in as well, which is very nice. It's got clear vinyl into it. 3 clear vinyls. Is it 4 clear vinyls?
I've never opened the box.
What? What? You've never opened it?
I don't think so. No.
Oh god.
Because everything was available in other formats. It was that thing of I'll just listen to The Breath of Life over here. I'll listen to Forevermore here. So I got the box just in case there's anything really special. So there's a 5.1 mix on the big box, things like that as well. So
actually, for you 5.1 fans, I'm not going to bore everybody with 5.1, but there is a 5.1 mix of Kaleidoscope as well in the Kaleidoscope box, which is in this cupboard, and I'm not getting it out, but there is one.
So that
yes, 5.1.
So similar to the box set that Nathan's got. You about that as well?
Of course I have, but I've opened mine. Of course I've got it, man.
Just checking.
Ask a silly question.
Ask a silly person.
What do you think of this album, guys?
It's a lot of effort. It pays off, but it is a lot of effort because there's 2 different mixes, and then there's a third one that's got bits of both. It's a lot of time effort. Most of it's fairly good, but I think I agree. I think it was Rich Wilson and Classic Rock, where it's something along the lines of, with a good producer, they could have took these 2 good discs into one great one. So I don't think it quite achieves the heights of the Whirlwind, but it's not that far off.
James?
Yeah, I'd go along with that. I like a lot of it, but as you say, it's sort of trying to take everything and it's almost too much. That if you distilled it down or take your favorite bits, you could get an absolute cracking album out of it or double album out of it.
Have you seen the Blu-ray of the studio version?
No, I've got it, but I haven't played it.
Because it's got graphics all the way through. So it plays for I think it's about 90 minutes, isn't it? It's got graphics all the way through. It's really good. Really good.
And then spaceships and stuff like that.
Yeah, stuff like that. But it's in 5.1 as well. I think it's like you said, having so many versions, it's difficult to get it lodged in your head. You know, if you flick from one to another, the transitions are different, or maybe somebody else is singing a different line. So it's hard to get it lodged in your head. I have to say, and it's got a really naff title, but I really like Owl Howl on here, which is a really atmospheric track. But I think it's great. It was nice to have them back, and the tour was amazing.
Where did you see the tour this time?
At
The Forum,
Kentish Town, yeah, on my birthday.
This is a sore point with me.
Because there was a train strike, wasn't there?
Well, no, I had tickets, but thanks to my youngest bringing it home, I caught COVID. The only time I caught COVID.
Did you?
Yeah, about 3 weeks before the gig. And I was in the case of recovering, but it wiped me out totally. And I was thinking, going away into London, and I drive into London. I don't get in the train and stuff. I'm close enough. But then knowing how Transatlantic are and standing up 3.5 hours or so, I thought I'll catch them next time.
Yeah.
And so bin the gig. Yeah. And they might not see it next time.
I'd paid for the VIP, so they did VIPs for this tour. And then they cancelled the VIP in Paris the night before, and then Paris was the night after. They cancelled the VIP of the one before, whatever that was, and then London and Paris as well. So there were no VIPs, even though we'd paid for them. So I ended up stood outside the Forum all afternoon on my birthday. And then we started to queue to get in, and it's a bloody O2 venue, isn't it? And I don't have O2. But I have to say, the guy that was managing the queue was absolutely fantastic. He knew that four of us had been there all day, and he let us go to the front of the queue. So I did get front and centre for potentially my last Transatlantic gig, and it was absolutely brilliant. It really was.
Did you get anything back from the VIP tickets?
Got a refund in the end, but that was it. But yeah, it was a great, great show. It really was. And they put out the final gig in Paris as the final flight live at Olympia, which is a 3 CD and a Blu-ray. And that came out February last year, was it?
Quite recently, yeah.
February this year, was it? No, it can't be this year.
No, I think
February last year. Yeah. And this is good, but it's got a lot of the screen graphics that are on this laid over the top of some of the live stuff. So I know.
Have you watched it, John? It's still got its wrapper on it.
Of course, I've watched it. This is what you do, James. You slit the end and then you slide the contents out.
I am a novice.
I've watched it. So I know that some fans didn't like this live Blu-ray because it had these images over the top. Didn't bother me too much, if I'm honest. I think it captures a really good set. But I was waiting for the big box that came out recently. Have you guys got this? The live Olympia?
I haven't. I must admit, I haven't watched it yet.
Right. Then
I bought the big box instead.
It's a better gig, I have to say.
Yes.
The big box that we're talking about is live at Morsefest. The absolute whirlwind.
I think
that's just killer in April, isn't it?
Just to give some kudos to Pete, just before they flew out to America to do this, they did a 3-night Whirlwind weekend in Poland. He then literally left Rouge on the Monday morning, got on a plane to Frankfurt, and then flew out to America. So basically, he spent the entire weekend looking a little bit stressed because A, he had to get his COVID stuff sorted, and then B, he was trying to remember, 6 hours-ish of music for Transatlantic, 9-ish for Whirlwind. So the poor bloke was about bit to burst.
None of his bags arrived in America with him. No gear, no bags, nothing.
Oh dear.
He played on borrowed kit. He played this gig with borrowed kit, and everybody kind of rallied round to get him basic essentials, that sort of thing. So bearing all that in mind, have you watched this game? Have you watched this?
Yes.
What do you think?
Sound-wise, it's great. Visually, it's okay. Some of the shots of like Neil Morse and stuff seem to be on like a GoPro. So if you're expecting kind of the usual Whirlwind standard, it's not quite that, but it's not bad. The addition of the string players and the choir's nice. It expands, so things like Jewel of the Devil sound great with the strings. It's a really nice box set. Not the cheapest, but
it's about to be reissued as a 2 Blu-ray set without all the audio discs.
Oh, is it?
That comes out It'll be out by the time we put this out. I think it comes out on the 12th of July. It's about 20 quid for the 2 Blu-rays.
That's not too bad price-wise.
No.
This has obviously got, is it 5 audio discs?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
5 audio discs and 2 Blu-rays. I think this is a great set, and I think this is probably the best Transatlantic live album because of the breadth of stuff on it. You know, they play in Held 'Twas in I, which they've never played before. Obviously, they do the Whirlwind. And they also do Into the Blue from Kaleidoscope. And then the set that they were playing on the Absolute Universe tour as well on the second night. I think it's a brilliant set.
The only shame for me is the fact that Morsefest started coming to the UK the year after, so we didn't get in Europe that kind of set. I believe they also did 2 sets from Cruise to the Edge as well,
Right.
to finish off the American tour.
Yeah.
And Merlin were playing that as well. So poor Pete had double headliner duty that weekend as well.
I don't know how he keeps it all in his head.
No. I don't mind about the sort of GoPro. I've got some of the Morsefest sets previously, and it's pretty much sort of similar.
Well, it's better quality than some of
Yeah.
the recent ones, if I'm honest.
But
The Lockdown one it's got very different qualities of camera on it throughout the sets. And also there's been some formatting issues for UK viewers with some of the Morsefest Blu-rays that have come direct. I can't get it off the shelf. I've got them up there, but that's more consistent quality, I would say.
yeah, some of the sort of late 2010s Morsefests are pretty good. But no, I really enjoyed it. I think, as you said, it's sort of the breadth of material, tackling stuff they've not played before, and you get the Whirlwind. What's not to like?
Craig, what's not to like? And we're going to go to our list, our members of the Facebook group shortly to see what their comments were. And there are some pretty direct comments, I have to say. Do you want to sum up Transatlantic, Craig, before I ask the fans of Transatlantic to sum them up?
Appreciate they're brilliant musicians, but musically it leaves me completely cold. And you can see, especially for somebody like me who's not a great fan of folk, you can see how good a band they are by how well they do the cover versions. So you can completely appreciate that they've got their own style, they've got their own distinct direction that they want to go in. And I love them. So we can't all like the same thing.
No.
True. I think they have such a laugh on stage.
Yeah.
And that's when a lot of the stuff from the albums, I actually prefer the live versions because they've got such a dynamic, between maybe Roy Nostalt's a little bit more introverted compared to the other three, but definitely the sort of interaction between Mawson, Portnoy and Pete and stuff like that. And they jam, they extend things, they throw surprises in, which is why you get a lot of additional material in some of the box sets because they throw jams and stuff or change the sets and stuff. But I think that's really attractive to me. And as I say, when I've seen them live, it's been brilliant.
And definitely give the fans who love them value for money with what they actually release. The quantity's there for you.
Yes.
I think for me it's just 4 musicians having a really good time, paying homage to some music that they clearly love. They're having a great time. Just going back to what James said, some of the kind of cover versions, I'm aware that on the Progressive Nation at Sea Cruise in 2014, they did a set of Yes covers with John Anderson. So that they're clearly having a good time playing music that they really enjoy. And I think it's significantly different enough to the kind of day job bands that, it just allows them to show off a little bit. I know certainly for Pete, this is him challenging himself and pushing his technical ability and just showing off.
Yeah.
I think it's had a good effect and brought him out a bit more into some of the later Marillion stuff. Because you see where he's gone from when he did SMPTE straight into Anarachnophobia. And Anarachnophobia is very much a Pete album.
Yeah.
And some of the funky bass riffs and things like that. So I think it gave him, as you say, Nathan stretched him and gave him, I can, force myself a bit more maybe into the jams and things like that.
Yeah. I asked you guys if we could come up with some sort of a playlist or an imaginary compilation for a non-fan to give him a sort of sample of Transatlantic. Did you have any time to look at that?
I was on a very long conference call earlier this week and put my list together.
Okay, what you got?
So I've done it as a 2-disc because it's Transatlantic.
Yeah.
So this is mine. I've started off with Overture, The Whirlwind, and The Wind Blew Them All Away as a starting. Then go into We All Need Some Light.
Yeah.
Then Bridge Across Forever. Love Made Away. We like that song. Finishing off with Stranger in Your Soul for CD1.
Nice, yeah.
And then starting CD2, The World We Used to Know, into Rose Colored Glasses.
Yeah.
Into Sweet Charlotte Pike, the live version, because of the fun and all the Beatles stuff. Into Shine, and finishing with Dancing with Eternal Glory and the Whirlwind Reprise.
Very nice. Nice compilation. Did you have a look go in there?
I did not in that kind of detail. No. For me, I think it would have to be kind of We All Need Some Light, Bridge Across Forever, because I think it is just a beautiful song. I think for a fan of Marillion, Bridge Across Forever for me, it's similar to something like Fantastic Place. It's just on the piano. It's very simple. It's very beautiful, and I think that you'd also have to have things like Jewel the Devil on there. Possibly something like Is It Really Happening to kind of show off a shorter proggy track. And oddly, Out to the Night from the Whirlwind, because it really shows off those kind of vocal harmonies. Each band member takes a different part.
Yeah,
and I think that shows a different side to them than you get on some of the other proggier songs.
Okay, yeah, no, great ideas, guys. I think anything that we put together as a compilation would need to have some of the shorter songs on to sort of entice people in, but I think it's got to have all of the above on for me, because that's where it all starts, really. But it's such a huge slab, you might have to put that at the end of a disc, I think. And then, as I said before, I've got a bit of a soft spot for Kaleidoscope, the track itself, so I might put that in. And then, bit of fun, Owl Howl's got to be in there for me from the Absolute Universe. But yeah, there's lots to love, and I think they have a bad rep with some Marillion fans. I think some people are automatically switched off, but we'll talk about that in a minute, because we're going to read the comments on the Facebook page. But yeah, I think if you've never heard them before, give them a try, because Craig isn't always right.
But he didn't say he hated it all.
No,
he said he does like some stuff, and there are the covers as well. And I think once you, as you said, John, you give them a chance, and there is a breadth of different material in there, from the big proggy stuff to what Nathan was saying about Bridge Across Forever. It's a beautiful, beautiful song.
Yeah. Okay. Shall we go to the comments? Are you on them as well, Craig?
Yeah, well, I'm here.
So we'll start with our friend of the podcast, Edwin Amalan. The Whirlwind is one of my all-time faves, resulting in one of the best prog concerts I've ever seen.
Another friend of the pod, Mark McCorman from Marco's Museum. Whirlwind, seen it many times live, always a great show. I guess the Whirlwind was when they really clicked with me, but all their albums have moments of brilliance.
Yeah. Seamus Colgan is one of our regular posters in the group. I've tried to give them a few chances over the last couple of years, but so far it hasn't really clicked with me at all. Maybe you can recommend an essential tracks in this podcast episode. Roll back a few minutes, Seamus, and you've just had a few listed.
February tour, sorry. We'll still listen though. Thank you.
Thanks, David. Thanks if you've made it all this way through this. Darren Dewitt.
Wake up, what's he finished?
Darren Dewitt, hi Daz. I know you're a big fan. I've loved Transatlantic from the outset. I recall listening to We All Need Some Light on a free prog magazine CD and thought, whoa, this is great. Side projects can sometimes be a bit hit and miss, but this was awesome. The original album was great, but has now been overshadowed by later releases. The Whirlwind for me is their high point, and I found this to be excellent and a real grower. I was fortunate to catch them at the UK show at the Shepherd's Bush, where it was recorded for the live Whirlwind CD and DVD. Mike also went crowd surfing over my head too. The last albums were also very ambitious. I love listening to various versions, and it was just what I needed during lockdown. Now, if you discuss 5.1 mixes, I've tried to keep the 5.1 mixes down, guys. All right, I'm not going there, but Darren says the Whirlwind is a huge absent spot in their catalogue. I totally agree. A 5.1 mix of the Whirlwind would be brilliant.
Strange this episode, John. You haven't had your gimp mask on, and just for the record, what's going on here? Where's the vinyl?
I have got the vinyls of these albums, but there's too much to carry. There's too many things already. The live album every 10 minutes, isn't there?
Speaking of too much, I think we have to issue a public apology to Kieran Buxton about costing him so much money at the minute since he's been listening to the pod and having to buy things. So I apologise to your bank balance, mate. I really, really do.
He stayed away from the pod for a long time, didn't he? But we got him in the end.
He said, "The Whirlwind was the most funky here around as well as a whole. There was an enjoyable bonus list as well for the cover versions."
Barrett Nuzum says, Bridge Across Forever is easily their pinnacle. In my opinion, it's all downhill after that, although I am still fond of their stuff. Lots of fanboys like the more recent live albums, but they shifted all the songs down a half step so as not to strain Neil, and it sounds awful to my ear. Not aware of that, James, are you?
No.
No, I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm not aware of it.
Simon Eldrick, I don't know if I pronounced your surname wrong. If I have, I'm sorry, mate. Also, all the worst cliches of prog wrapped up in one band. I've tried to give them a chance several times over the years, but their music seems calculated, cold, and emotionless. Honestly, I think that's only as I feel exactly the same about the music he's made over the years. As a big Train fan, I've tried listening to Spock's Beard and feel exactly the same about those Morse albums. Everything he touches turns to cliche, in his humble opinion. There you go.
Be interested to know what he thinks of the current Big Train album, The Likes of Us, which sounds more like Spock's Beard than any other Big Train album. Pep Canals, all of them. I asked what you love about them. He said all of them, but maybe my most fond memories of the Whirlwind is the only tour I've watched them in person, and it was astonishing. It was a difficult period of my life, but nice at the same time. It was a long gig, and I was a little wasted, and I was so happy to be out of my normal preoccupations. I was a mayor at the time.
So, Pep, it made sense.
Anyhow, thanks for your comments, and thanks for bearing with us if you're still here, especially if you don't like Transatlantic. That's even better. But I want to thank James and Nathan for coming on to talk about Transatlantic. Keep the prog flag flying, boys.
You're very welcome. Pleasure as always.
We'll better talk around.
This episode was in our 50+ episodes that we've done now. It's the only episode that was done so far where I've been completely out of my depth.
Some would beg to differ, but yeah.
Craigopedia's been switched off tonight.
Oh yeah, it's a real use of this direction. So I'll be back ready and raring for the next episode.
Well, anyway, thank you very much, guys, for listening. Thanks to James.
Good night.
Thanks to Nathan.
Good night.
Thank you to Faye.
Good night. It's good night from me.
And it's good night from him.
Take care.
Stay alive.
Thanks for listening to Planet Marzipan Podcast. please like and subscribe from whichever platform you get your podcasts from. You can contact us at planetmarzipanpodcast@gmail.com and check out Marillion.com, fishmusic.scot or fishmusic.eu for all the good stuff.